looks like we are on. Happy Wednesday, loves. If this is your first time checking out my live, thank you so much for checking it out. My name is Dani 𝒂𝒏. I'm a virtual licensed psychotherapist and a happiness transformation coach. So I typically work with people who are feeling unhappy, unfulfilled, overwhelmed, stressed out, anxious, maybe a little depressed. So last week's Instagram live was on Live Creative Day, so ways to live creatively. Tonight's Instagram Live is on the International Day of Peace, and next week's Instagram Live is on the National Love People Day. So let's go ahead and jump right in. In tonight's live, we are discussing ways to begin to cultivate peace within. So to give you a little bit of background information, the International Day of Peace was established in 1981 by the United Nations General Assembly. 2 decades later, in 2001, the General Assembly unanimously voted to designate the day as a period of non-violence and ceasefire. Oh, we got a few people on here. Thanks for joining. My brother's on here. Awesome. This is good stuff. So, all right, so as far as International Day of Peace, I wanted to talk about ways to cultivate. Oh, by the way, it's usually observed annually on September 21st. I know that it is the 22nd. So to truly cultivate peace, how can we begin by truly cultivating peace? I usually encourage my clients to name their ego. That's the first thing I have them do. Actually, let me grab this here so you get a little visualization of what I'm talking about. One of my clients one time was like, Dani, I think you need to get that thing laminated because look at how tethered this thing is. So just like how we have thoughts, right? If you look in the comic strips or you're reading a comic book, when somebody's thinking something that looks like this, well, pretend that this is the ego. I encourage people to name this. As soon as you name this, you can start to identify when your ego's kicking in, when pride is kicking in, because a lot of times when we are moving away from peace, right? When we're not feeling peaceful, it's usually because our thoughts are contributing to something. Our ego is crossed or feeling violated, or, pride starts to cross or step in. And that's what usually contributes to the chaos. So once you name your ego, right, because a lot of our chaos and our pride comes from our ego, comes from these thoughts, then learning not to take things personal. So really remembering that everyone has one of these and that someone may be going through something and that is okay. That's them. And when we don't take things personal, we don't take things on, we're able to cultivate peace from within. Another thing that I want to mention, and this actually I was working with one of my clients with today, was shifting away from anger or frustration. Whenever you're experiencing anger or frustration from the ego, from the thoughts, using it to try to shift away from that towards, say, a space of lighter energy, a space of a sense of amusement. Let me give you an example of what I mean by that. So my client was visiting her family, and her ego came up. A lot of the family members, hey mom, mom's on here waving. A lot of things came up, right? A lot of the ego came up for her during that visit. Well, her brother's girlfriend, there was an issue with food and things like that, and their nephew, which is their son, and my client realized, long story short, that her brother's girlfriend, she felt like was BSing her. And we can see and we can connect how the ego can say to us, well, that person's full of crap. That person's BSing you. So when those things happen, right, say that you're starting to feel like someone's BSing you, somebody's kind of like full of crap, sometimes we can feel offended by that. Sometimes we can take it personal. Sometimes we can get angry about that or frustrated or resentful. So rather than feeling frustrated from this thought, this idea of, well, how dare they, or I can't believe them, or who BS's me, you can't BS a BSer, whatever that ego or the pride is kicking in and saying, shifting away from that anger, and when you move to a sense of, we see that they're BSing, oh, poor them, or not maybe poor them, but as far as detaching away from the energy of anger, frustration, resentment, and moving towards a sense of a lighter energy, a sense of almost like a sense of amusement, like a sense of being amused by that person's behavior, by their energy, as opposed to allowing it to get you ruffled, your feathers ruffled, or getting you stirred up. So I've found this to be very effective when it comes to cultivating peace with it, because the thing is, we can't control our outside environment. What we can control, though, is what we're telling ourselves about what's going on around us. We can also control and manage our ego, which tends to feed and fuel that fire, those feelings of creating that chaos and moving us away from peace. So I hope this live was helpful. If you have any questions or comments or feedback, feel free to email me. My email is Dani, D-A-N-I, at DaniLaBerry.com. Again, my name is Dani LaBerry. I'm a virtual licensed psychotherapist and a happiness transformation coach. Thank you so much for checking out my Instagram Live. I will see you on the next Instagram Live. Take care of yourself.